Mm. What is up? How we doing? Good to see you guys. Been on a little bit of a hiatus, doing some traveling for work, doing some stuff for my parents because they are older. Um, but I'm back, ready to do the thing. Feeling very, very grounded lately, um, and I'm just excited. I'm just excited. Um, So you know what? Let's fucking get into it because we're doing the thing. And I don't know why, but I really like what's happening lighting wise right now. I know I'm not like a visual person, but just the time of day and the light, the indirect sunlight without being too intense, and I don't know, kind of vibing it. I don't even hate what my beard is doing right now. I don't know. Today's a really good day, I guess. So let's get into this. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Full Blast. I am your host, Raja Burrows, and today we're talking about getting our needs met. Of course, I am talking about the human needs, not the bedroom needs. You are on your own for that. That's not my jurisdiction. You do what you need to do to keep your bedroom life popping. That's all I'm going to say. We're talking about the human needs. And so today's been really good. Like, I've just been feeling really good. Yesterday was the first time. Yeah, I would say that yesterday was the first day for sure in 2 months. For sure in 2 months. Really, since before that. So I went to the gym finally again. There's an outdoor gym that is part of Crunch, not the Crunch gym that I usually go to. But there's one out in Burbank. I can drive to it. They have an outdoor gym. And now that I am fully vaccinated, because I do work in healthcare, I was very fortunate to be able to receive the vaccinations. I've got my second dose. I'm, now 95% protected. Of course, I'm still going to wear a mask, avoid indoor crowded spaces, and maintain social. Like, I'm still going to do everything right. But listen, at the end of November and December, just the cases in California were fucking awful. Like, they was so bad. And I didn't feel comfortable going to the gym, didn't feel comfortable doing anything outside. And also there was like holiday stress, and my parents, and they were older, and none of us had gotten vaccinated, and now we're all vaccinated. So that's great. But there was just a lot of stuff that it just needed to fall into place and to settle. And then January was still kind of a fucking chaotic shit mess again. But today, a couple of things happened. So sort of between last night and today, a number of random things happened. So, as I said, last week I got my second vaccination. So that just let me, the way that I'm looking at the second vaccination, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because as more of the population gets vaccinated, I want to be forthright about what I am observing and the advantages of getting vaccinated, because I think it's really important that we talk about why getting vaccinated is important, and just sort of share my experiences with that early on. And what's been really cool is that because I am vaccinated, even though I am still taking care to keep myself safe, I don't have to be as hyper vigilant about trying to police the people around me. Because listen, IJ Blaster, boy, oh boy, do I have no problem going off the deep end, trying to control other people, police other people, tell other people what to do. That's like second nature to me in a lot of ways. But I was talking to another one of my IJ friends, again, INTJ. She and I are very similar types. We might be type twins. I haven't, fully gone into it, but like, we're very, very close. And one of the things that we talked about is I was like, it's so nice to be able to counter my feeling of needing to police other people. Because here's the thing, if I'm walking around Target or Ralph's, grocery store, and somebody has their mask below their nose, right? They're being a dick and they're not wearing their mask properly. Before I was vaccinated, that was a legitimate concern. Like, that was a thing that it was not unreasonable for me to be able to go, hey, you're literally endangering my life. Not, oh, I might get the sniffles because you're being a dick and like going to the grocery store with a cold. Like people have died from corona. Like, a lot of people have died because people aren't wearing masks properly. People are doing whatever the fuck they want, right? And it was really, really hard to just like be outside and also keep myself safe. Like, and again, I'm not talking about OP off the deep end. It's like, oh no, my actual physical self, literally, like, this is an actual health crisis. Like, death is not off the table if I fuck around. And so that was really hard. And it was something that I noticed, like, I was concerned about, my EP friends were concerned about it, my EJ friends were concerned about it, my IP, like, type did not seem to matter. But I remember I went to the grocery store yesterday, and it was the first time I'd ever really been like out since getting vaccinated. And it was so much easier to not freak out. Of course, I didn't like it. I wish they did it better. But it so quickly turned into a me problem. And that was amazing. Because I was like, oh, well, if I'm inventing scenarios in my head, then I can just uninvent them or invent different scenarios. Like, that's fine. We can work with this. I'm not worried about this. Like, we can handle this. And so it was really, really cool to be like, oh yeah, that person's not wearing a mask. I'm going to move slightly to the left of them and go about my business rather than, oh, fuck me. Okay, well, if I get sick, is this going to affect me being able to, see my parents? Because I work for my parents. I was like, is this going to affect the work that I do for that? Like, I don't have to worry about that. I can just keep my crazy to myself and then work on it in the moment and then work past it and then move on with my life. And that was very, very cool. And, as I mentioned, so yesterday I went to the gym for the first time in a really long time. And and I bring it up specifically because it was the first really good workout I feel that I have had, honestly, since like a year ago. Since like, I would say the Thursday before Wednesday, March 11th, 2020. So whatever day that was. I can't do the math off the top of my head. It'll be 11th, whatever, the 8th-ish of March 2020. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, the 5th. So I guess it would have been March 5th, 2020. Was the last time I had like a really good workout. Because, on incidentally the day before, it was just like a mediocre workout. I just remember it being sort of mediocre. And then the day after March 11th, on March 12th, was a terrible workout because I was so fucked up from like everything shutting down. But like the week before that, things were pretty chill, had to stay safe, had to keep doing the thing. And I remember just feeling very free, feeling very strong, and like, yeah, like I'm at the gym. We're doing the gym thing. It's all good. We're good. And yesterday felt like that. Of course, it was a little different. We're all wearing masks. We're all outside. It's a little chilly. But like first off, just like the gratitude of living in a place where outdoor workouts are even possible in February. That has not been the case in my life ever until I moved to LA. Because even in New Mexico, like Albuquerque, New Mexico, we're very high elevation. It gets real fucking cold. It gets very cold in Albuquerque, especially where we live. And so like that's just like the first level of like, oh fuck, like I get to work out outside and it's not a big deal. So that was again, so that was first thing. It was very, very cool. But it was a good workout. I was present. I was there. I wasn't worried about a million things. I could actually focus on my fucking workout for once. Because the last couple of times that I had gone to do a workout or fucking to do anything, I had to actively keep an eye on like, how close are people to me? Is this guy breathing a little heavy? Is it safe enough for me to be close to this person? And it's the sort of thing where I'm like, listen, if it was just the sniffles, I could deal with that. And I could, again, manage my own crazy. But this is one of those like, no. There are actual consequences that if you want to stay an alive human, you have to be cognizant of. And to do that for a year, even for Lead NI, like I was fucking done. And it became really clear to me, and it was very interesting talking to my dad about this. So my dad is Lead SE, masculine SE. We get along. One of the reasons that we get along as well as we do is that he like, again, he's the EP version of my IJ-ness. He's double masculine. I'm audio, but we still have the like masculine SE and feminine NI at our polls. We don't get super worked up about drama and the people. It's very cool. It's very, very cool. And what he kept saying was, we just got to stay in it. We just got to keep, do a little bit more. It's not fun. We just got to get through it. And what I realized is I was like, oh, right. Okay. Because he, in his mind, right. So he's Lead SE. He's not on one, right. So like on an OP level, he's not really trying to manage the tribe. Like he's just not necessarily attuned to that as much. But also he just like, he goes to his office. We own our own business. It's a counseling agency. He goes to his office. He goes into his office and then comes home. Like he doesn't do anything. He doesn't go grocery shopping. He doesn't go out. He doesn't dine out outside. He doesn't do anything. Like that's just not he's not out and about. Again, because he fucking can't be, because that's dangerous for him, because he's in his 70s and immunocompromised, et cetera, et cetera. So again, so as I started to process, like, what is it about now that feels easier? It's the fact that I can just be normal vigilant, and that I don't have to be, hey, Marcial, that I don't have to be crazy hyper vigilant and sort of like going back and forth, be like, okay, I have to super SE right now and be super cognizant of my surroundings. And then I have to go super NI and get super detached and super like, how does the system and forecasting and all of the things. And the more that I really started to like understand what I was doing and what I felt that I had to do, whether it's a coping mechanism or a legitimate, whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. Now that I'm on the other side of that, I'm like, okay, I got it. I get it. I get why now is easier. Because for the last year, I was entirely responsible for getting all of my needs met. And by that, I mean, Like there's a difference between like what we were all going through last year and even just like a year before that, right? Because sure, on a NF level, like we are all at the end of the day responsible for getting our needs met, but realistically, we have a tribe to lean on. We have institutions to lean on. We can do things like go to the movies or go to the gym or take cooking classes or set up play dates with our kids if you have kids, right? We are not as alone as it feels like sometimes. There actually are a lot of things in society that we can and do lean on a lot. And I think that we all, this past year, I think we became acutely aware of all of the things externally that we lean on without even realizing it. Fuck, going to the grocery store is a form of social interaction. One thing that I have actively started doing is getting coffee more often. I used to have a major like getting lattes all the time kind of deal. And then really I would say that it was sort of towards the end of 2019, beginning of 2020 that I was like, you know what? I'm going to be more responsible about my budget. I'm going to be more cognizant of, the amount of, coffee that I buy and spend my money more effectively. But I actually have started recently, and I probably will for at least until the summer, making a point to spend money to go get coffee. Not because I give a shit about coffee, but because I need social interaction. Like I need to interact IRL with other humans. That's just a thing that I need. And I need to lean on institutions and society around me. I am responsible. I believe that we are all responsible for getting our needs met holistically. But I don't believe that we can sustain getting all of our needs met by ourselves in a concrete minute to minute, day to day kind of way, because two of our human, like we can get our sleep, our DI and our OI needs met by ourselves, but like anything DE, we by definition, we cannot get our DE needs met by ourselves. That's literally fucking not how it works. It just isn't. And it's sort of like this whole yesterday into today, especially last night, just sort of settling into this idea of like, oh, I'm not alone. I am not a canoe in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I'm not actually Moana. Oh shit. Okay, we can work with this. That's fine. And I was thinking about today, right? And this idea of like getting our needs met, getting my needs met. And what I started to realize is one of the reasons that I have been able to be, because I feel like in the past 2 days I've been like very present and very grounded and very stable in a lot of ways. And it's because, and again, maybe this is my IJ-ness, who the fuck knows? I think that this definitely transcends OP, because I know everybody, regardless of type, has been feeling this way. But this feeling of, one of the reasons that I have been so stressed is because everything has been so chaotic, and I have had to either take on the responsibility of being more stable than I want to be at the expense of my growth. Create more stability that I'm naturally comfortable with. Because here's the thing. Yeah, I'm an IJ, but I got double activated savior play. I don't need that much stability. Like, as similar as Dave and I are in a lot of ways, he, in terms of like human needs and like the amount of, need that needs to get met, the amount of, certainty that Dave needs in order to feel really, really comfortable and confident and secure is actually a lot higher than mine. I'm much more on the try validation side, right? And also just the amount of variety that I need is pretty high for an IJ. I'm not an EP. I'm not, right? That isn't my primary human need. Whether it call it uncertainty, novelty, variety, that's just nomenclature. But like, if you line up every IJ, I am definitely cranked. In terms of how much uncertainty and novelty and spontaneity and, unexpectedness I like, right? And my ability to dance in the rain is not that bad, certainly compared to IJ's. And, getting close to the, maybe the EJs and IPs who have savior OI, right, is where I would put my ability to dance in the rain. And what I realized again, this past day is, when I do choose. So again, one of the things that I've really been focusing on, especially the past week, is like, for me, being present weirdly means kind of being a skib. Means sort of leaning into the skibby part of my personality, psyche, whatever, because that's where my sensory is, right? And it's masculine, so it's like very, very firm. But like, I've really been trying to focus on living in STSF land lately. It's been really, really cool. I like it very much. And I feel comfortable doing that because I look around and I'm like, okay, there is enough certainty around me now that I can trust that it's getting taken care of. And that's been the big shift for me this past week, is being able to go, okay, I take responsibility for it, but I don't have to do it. And this is where I know that Dave and Shan have explained this in varying degrees. But they talk a lot about E-Myth, right? Michael Berger, I think is the guy's name. I don't know. But one of the things in E-Myth is you have to, taking responsibility for something doesn't necessarily mean doing it all yourself. All that taking responsibility for something means is you are responsible that it gets done. And if someone else doesn't do it, you don't get to whine about it. You just have to do it, right? And you don't get to have the temper tantrum of, it was that person's job. Why do I have to do it? I want to do this other thing, which I don't know. Listen, if you live through the pandemic, I genuinely can't imagine how you wouldn't catch yourself doing that and being like, yeah, no, I just need to fucking do it. And that to me is like, that's really, really healthy. When you can, and again, I'm trying to remember what video they talked about this in, but it was like, I think Dave had some analogy of like, listen, I don't love doing the lawn stuff and I'm not an expert. But if I have to pinch hit, I'm fine. Right? Don't make me do it all the time. I'm not the best at it, but my ability to ST is not so embarrassing that if no one else can do it, everyone's just fucked. And that to me is a really healthy way to live. To be like, this is what I know I want to be responsible for and know that I can do. But if I have to take responsibility for this other thing from time to time to make sure that things stay moving, I'm good with that. I'm not mad about having to do my demons sometimes. And again, as I have made very clear in fucking every interview I do, feels like every video here, I am not a believer in doing your demons all the time. And based on the videos that I have seen, of Dave and Shan, especially the most recent ones, I don't think they are either. I think that they are a proponent of, if you've never done your demons, you have to shut off your saviors and do your demons enough so that you're passable at doing them, and then build in things in your life so that you don't have to do your demons constantly, because you're going to burn out and you're going to die. Like you can't sustain doing your demons forever, which for me is NF. Listen, you see what is behind me, right? I have crystals and, fucking sun and moon candles and incense and a praying yoga woman and all the thing, right? Like, I appreciate the NF. I really do like the NF. The NF has played an enormous role in my life, and I appreciate it, and I love it. I can't be responsible for the NF more than like 30% of the time. I just can't be. It's just not a thing. I'm never going to be living in the NF world kind of guy, right? And once I sort of like really accepted that, and I'm not quite there yet, but I'm en route, that has made a lot of things a lot easier. And especially this past year, again, this is sort of what I'm talking about, where it's like my NF was pretty lacking. Like, it was getting there, it was trying, but like there was a lot that my NF had to do to like be a person. Would just be SF at that point. I mean, it's there for display. It serves a dual purpose. Like, there is absolutely NF energy about that part of my house, and I appreciate it for the NF energy. I have organized it in such a way to make it SF looking pretty. But no. It absolutely serves a very explicitly NF purpose when I actually use the stuff on that altar. But what I sort of came to the conclusion of was the first 6 months, I would say from March to September, was amazing. I was doing a lot of NF work, figuring out what I wanted, doing the deep dive shit, like really figuring stuff out. It was fantastic. I loved it. And it was important that I did that work and that I took all of that time to do that work. But where my burnout really started to kick in was where I felt like I had to do more. I was like, okay, my NF is cooking. I'm comfortable dipping in and out of it. I can do it. If there comes a time when I have to go full boat NF for a week, or some amount of time, I can do it. If the situation calls for, it's like, we need somebody who just understands vibes. And I know it's not your forte. It's not your favorite thing to do all the time, but like, we need a vibe dude. I can be like, I can be vibe dude. Let me see what's going on. but I can't actually sustain it. I certainly can't sustain it in a savior state. But so much of my frustration was that I felt like the way that the powers that be had talked about this pandemic, was they're like, here's the rough predicted timeline. If everything goes reasonably well, things should start to calm. We're probably going to have another flare up in the summer, but then it's going to calm down by September. Thanksgiving is a maybe, probably, and Christmas is almost certainly going to happen as planned. And then once September, October hit, we're like, oh, that's absolutely not going to fucking happen. And things got real chaotic again and very tense and very chippy. And then everything fucking happened with the election, which was just a energetic nightmare. And I found myself having to really live in NF land for a lot longer than I was comfortable with. Because I was like, I can't do my ST play, and the NF isn't getting handled. Well, I guess I have to take care of the NF. And I just burned out. It was too much. I couldn't do it. And what I feel now is the feeling of I can outsource my demons a little bit. Not fully, and certainly, and again, just definition of terms. When you outsource something, you're not abdicating responsibility for it. You're just not doing it, right? But if something goes wrong, you then need to be able to step in and go, what the no, that's not how you put together. I gave you the instruction. What did you do? You know what? You're done. Let me clean up this mess. Let me figure out what I did wrong. Let me handle this NF thing. Then I'm going to go back to doing my job and then put better protocols in place. And again, it's just the willingness to step into different roles as needed. That's what taking responsibility means. And I feel like in the past 2 days, I have been able to really lean into and settle into what's comfortable for me. I get to do some blast. I've been doing these stand-up classes. They're fucking amazing. Oh my God, changed my life. Getting to do stand-up and starting to, live in that world a little bit more. That's been really cool. And with the STSF stuff, it's me choosing to go, you know what? We're just going to try this. I'm going to choose to not do as much NI. I'm going to choose to not do that. If I have to swoop in and deal with some shit, I can. But I'm not going to put so much energy on trying to forecast everything because I can't sustain that. And also, there's just a lot of chaos in the world. And my predictions, there's no amount, like, my predictions kept not coming true, is what happened for a lot of the past year. And whether it was, Savior NT predictions, those did not always come true. And my Demon NF predictions also didn't come true. Again, welcome to the wonderful world of being a glass lizard. But I was like, and what I sort of came to the conclusion of, especially once Trump got his Twitter taken away and stepped down from power and all those things, I was like, oh, right. There was no amount of SE gathering that I could do to make a good prediction. And where I got fucked up is that I thought I had to keep making bad predictions. But in actuality, I can just not make predictions. And that was a big mindset shift to be like, oh, no, 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 no. It's not that I have to do something badly. It's that I just don't need to do it because I need to choose to trust that the people and institutions around me are going to be fine. And that is not something that I felt that I could do, or anybody felt that they could do, I think, in 2020. But now that we're in 2021, things are calming down a little bit. We here in America actually have a vaccination rollout plan, which was not true before January 20th. I think that made a difference. And I can trust that, like, okay, the odds of things getting way worse are small. I think they're small, and I know that they are smaller than the odds of things getting better, right? And for all of 2020, that wasn't true. The odds of things getting worse or better or harder or easier, it was all like, I don't know what happened in the last hour. That we were living hour to hour. It was very, very difficult. It was very, very difficult. I am very excited in like 50 years to talk to, the 10-year-old, right? The kids. I want to talk to the kids born in 2070, right? Or 2060. I want to talk to the kids born in 2060 when they're 10 years old on the 50th anniversary of COVID-19 and have them be like, what the fuck was that even like to live through? And I was like, you guys have no fucking idea. Because, I mean, it's extraordinary. The times that we are living in right now are just mind-blowing. And, I think about the difficult things that we went through and how now that things are getting slightly better, or at least beginning to trend upward. It's we can lean on things outside of ourselves a little bit more. We really can. And one of the big things that I want to be very clear about what I'm preaching is that I think it is absolutely crucial that we rely on the world around us and that we choose to behave as though we are in symbiosis with our communities and the places that we live and the things in our lives. Like, we have to choose to see that as a symbiotic relationship. We cannot be so isolated and insulated from everything around us and believe this this idea of like being self-sufficient. I think it's a great idea in theory, but man, does it get corrupted so goddamn fast. Like, this is just like a little mini rant. People talk about being like financially self-sufficient. In and of itself, that premise is dumb because it relies on the idea of money having value, which you cannot control. So you are inherently, like, if your focus is on making money and being financially independent, that phrase is fundamentally false because the stock market exists and money has whatever value we decide it has, right? Like, that's just how it works. And I think that it's so easy. And again, I want to be very clear. I don't think that Dave and Shan believe this. Like, I don't think that they believe in this very, like, you are alone in the world. You can only rely on yourself and your wits and, nothing else around. Like, I don't think they believe that. But I get how it's easy to hear that in their message. I get how it's easy. And that's just the nature of YouTube. and social media and the internet, you know, that just isn't, you know, you, some stuff gets lost in translation. So again, I don't know what they believe. I don't think they believe that. I certainly don't believe that. I am very, very much about existing with and interacting with the world around us and the people around us, and finding great strength in choosing to trust other people. Oh my God. There's that great cartoon, and I love it so much. It's that little animated claymation short film where it's it's a bunch of people, and they all have these really long spoons, and they're all trying to lean in. There's a big pot of soup in the middle. They all have these really long spoons, and it's long enough to grab the soup, but it's really awkward to like try to drink it because you have this really long spoon. And there's the fighting and the whatever. It's like, no, this is my soup. No, fuck you. And he breaks the guy's spoon, and it's very dramatic. And then, one of the village elders realizes, oh no, my job is to take the soup and feed someone else. And then if that person feels fed, then they feed somebody else. And then when that other person feels fed, they can feed somebody else. And it really made me think about, it's so important to choose to let others feed us. Whether it is socially, emotionally, financially, whatever, we are not meant to be as self-sufficient as we've had to be this past year. That is a level of isolation and perceived self-sufficiency that is not sustainable. We can't do it. We cannot do it. I don't care what your parts are. I don't care what your human needs are. If you are even remotely a grown-up, you just can't live the way that we did for all of 2020. Can't do it. And I think it's really important that we not use what we did so many things in 2020 out of pure necessity and survival. And that I think that it's important to recognize why we did that and to not beat ourselves up over whatever the fuck we did within reason, in the interest of self-survival. I ate a lot of steak and cookies in 2020. That is just what I did. That was like a hallmark of my 2020 experience, was like steak and bacon and cookies. And now that I don't have to do that anymore for again, this feeling of well, no one else is going to feed me. I have to do whatever I can to scramble and hustle to, satiate myself. Being able to ease up a little bit and be like, you know what? I don't need to go ham on the indulgences because I can just rely on things outside of myself. And, when it comes to getting your needs met, listen, we all have 4 human needs: certainty, uncertainty, connection, significance, and then mapped on top of those are grow and give, right? But when it comes to those 4 big ones, right? Certainty, uncertainty, connection, and significance, we can and should and have to look outside of ourselves to get those needs met. Not all the time, not for everything. Certainly don't hurt anybody in the pursuit of getting your own needs met, and don't be a sociopath. Duh, obviously. But when it comes to I don't know, if somebody offers to go grocery shopping for you, I don't know, maybe take them up on that offer. Right? I recently started using Clubhouse, and it's so cool. Shout out to Rose for turning me on to Clubhouse. I don't understand Clubhouse at all. No fucking idea how it works. Not at all. But I have had conversations with people who I care very, very much about, and who I just haven't spoken with, because it's weird to talk on the phone nowadays, to be like, hey, I'm going to call you. Do you want to talk on the telephone? But when it's like, oh yeah, no, we're all just here in the clubhouse hanging out. We're both just on Clubhouse. Hey, do you want to pop in? It's like, hey man, how's it going? How you been? What are you up to? What are you working on? Etc. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. And I like that. I think, again, leaving the technology aside, I think that the premise of that is very neat. And where it's like, to get just to use the DE for a second, right? Like, for the last year, we have had to put effort into getting our DE tribe connection needs met. That has been effort. It is not like, oh yeah, and this is something that I definitely took for granted, of like, when you go to school and go to work or go to clubs or go to hobby, whatever it is, like meetup groups, that's just a thing that organically has. Going to school is an incredibly social experience. It's amazing. Listen, I fucking crushed school because I realized, oh my God, I just have to show up and go to class every day. Like, that's all I have to do. You're telling me that that all I have to do to get, A minuses and B plus at a pretty difficult university, I just have to go be with people all day and then do whatever the bare minimum homework is? Yeah, fuck yeah, sign me up for that. That's amazing. And I think that we definitely took for granted how other people were helping us. And then we got thrust into this feeling of like, okay, all you have is your pod. That is all that you have. And, I one of the bits that I have in my stand-up routine right now that I'm working on is, it's sort of in the context of dating, but like, the question, are you seeing other people, right now is kind of a matter of life and death. Like, it's not particular, especially not in Southern California. Maybe in other places, I know it's a little safer. You can go out, have socially distanced meals and coffees and whatever. But like in Southern California, until very, very recently, it was incredibly unsafe to do that. Our numbers in November and December were fucking off the chart. Like, we broke records in a very, very bad way. And I was like, shit, I just can't see people outside my pod. Like, and that's hard. Not just because I'm Savior DE, but just in the sense of like, at some point, we need to feel like we are not an island. Like, listen, if you watch, anybody who's seen Castaway, I'm not going to spoiler alert this because the movie's fucking 20 years old, but the key coping mechanism for Tom Hanks in that movie was personifying a volleyball, right? Because he cut his hand on something and he grabbed the volleyball, he threw it in the ocean, it came back, and where he grabbed it, it looked like it made a face. And, it was a Wilson volleyball, and so he named the volleyball Wilson. And it was a thing he had to do to survive. And I think it's important to recognize, and I'll end on this. I think it's really, really important that we be very, very clear about the things we do because, they sustain us and they fulfill us and they enrich our lives, and the things that we have to do temporarily to get through the hour. Those two things are very, very different. And anybody coming out of this pandemic, know that the things that we had to do to get through the hour is not how we're meant to live. It's how we had to live. It's not how we're supposed to live. That's not like a goal to be able to be completely like I can survive completely isolated. Okay, congratulations, but like that's not it's not how it's supposed to go, man. It's not how anybody has lived ever in any amount of time. It's just not how humans are designed. So all of this is to say, it is important that we get all of our needs met. It is important that we take responsibility in the holistic sense for getting our needs met. But we are not responsible for doing every job ourselves all the time. We just are not. You can't sustain that. You can do it in little bursts. And you can certainly sort of bounce from job to job, right? Putting out fires here and there. But if that's what you're doing, you have to be able to trust that other fires aren't popping up elsewhere, right? And, depending on where you are in your hero's journey, if you're running around like a crazy person constantly putting out fires, step one is saying, okay, pause. I can't put out every fire all the time. I need to just what's the one thing that can't burn down? It's like, all right, I'm going to take care of my job and I'm going to do the bare minimum to make sure that my family is fed and clothed and sheltered. Everything else can fuck off. If that burns down, then fucking let it burn down. Like, I can't give a shit about that. And then slowly over time, you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. I was trying to put out that fire. Like, that fire was trying to burn down. And I kept trying to put it out. And I just didn't need to do that. And I think that it's important that as we move into this next stage of the pandemic, we really get clear on what our priorities are and how much something is a priority, and being able to go, look, I don't have the energy. Like I was putting in a lot of energy to sustain this thing, whatever it was, whatever hamster wheel you were on, and being able to go, you know what? I'm going to put in the bare minimum. I'm going to put in what I want to put in. And if that's enough for you, Ben, love it. But if it's not, no harm, no foul, but this is all you're going to get. That's all. Because I got all this shit that I'm putting my time and energy and emotional whatever into. I cannot give 100% of the time to 400% of the thing. It's not how this works. It's not how this works. We kind of had to do that for a little bit, and we don't have to do that anymore. Things are getting better. We can start to lean on other people and, not feel like we are now at a point where we are allowed to expect other people to pull their weight and to take care of themselves a little bit and to exist in a state of symbiosis with us if they want to be in our lives. And again, whether this is, I've seen, I've definitely seen some marriages been falling apart the end of last year, beginning of this year. Right, there was the big crash at the beginning of the pandemic, and then things settled, and now here's we're in the middle of wave 2. And I think that it's just I think that we are allowed to say, you know what, I take responsibility for everything, but I am no longer choosing to be all of the things all of the time to all of the institutions. Can't do it. Can't sustain it. And I think that it is crucial that we learn to lean on the people and things outside of us so that we can continue to grow in the best way that we can. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you for hanging out with me, listening to my weirdo hippie stuff. I love this stuff. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.